guys, welcome back to the Lycan Project with Heather. I'm just doing the rest of the sort of goal situation. So today is the 10 series I want to catch up with or close out and that's at the end of all that are published in 2019, because I know that there is a book in one of the series that's on this list that is being released in the first week of January, but I'm not counting that one. So to start with, I need to catch up with the 7th series. It was originally a duology, but it's now been announced that it's going to be a trilogy by S.D. Worsley, who is an Australian self-published author. So I need to read The Rift, which is the second book in the series, which is a paranormal sort of ghost powers story at a boarding school, which follows Mimi. Okay, so in the first book, Mimi has had friends with, has had ghosts following her, and she's ended up at this school, and then she gets put into a gifted program, which really is just 6 other students that have talents of the paranormal or supernatural variety, and then chaos ensues from there, and this is the second book in the series. So I'm hoping to get to this, and then I will be up to date with that series. I then have the second part of Leigh Bardugo's Six of Crows duology with Crooked Kingdom, which is the Kaz Brekker sort of duology of in the Grishaverse. But can you please tell me if I need to go back and read this the Smoke and Bone trilogy, like the original trilogy, before I can go on to King of Scars? Because some people have said I don't, some people have said I do. So I definitely will be closing this one out, but I just want to know if I'm allowed to then go on to King of Scars, or I should go back and just read all the Grishaverse books. So I need to finish this book. Then we're moving on to another self-published Australian author, is Liz Lovelock, and her Letters in Blood, which they're like little novellas. So I've done Dear Captor this year. Yes, Dear Captor. So I've got With Love to do, and then I have to finish off with Forever Yours. So basically it follows a young girl called Eleanor in the first book, and there are girls going missing. She starts a potential relationship with a detective, but then she's captured, and it's told sort of, it gave me a bit of You vibes, because we go from her story to the investigation of her missing to through the captor's eyes. So it's quite interesting, and it's like, you've done this, I wanted to get you, it's all your fault situation from the captor. So this, we finish off with her being captured and writing a very sort of antagonistic letter towards her captor. We follow, and then it goes with love. So I will be following on with this, getting those 2 done and ticked off. And then I was supposed to read this in the beginning of December of 2019 as a buddy read, and I didn't. So I'm bad and naughty, but it's Rick Riordan's Magnus Chase, Ship of the Dead, which is the finale of the trilogy. So this basically is the conclusion of Magnus Chase, and I believe Ragnarok might be imminent in this book. So basically the beginning of the series is the Sword of Summer, which basically starts with Magnus Chase dying and then going to Valhalla. So it's all about the Norse mythology. So yeah, so we then go through and we meet Valkyries and Loki and Thor and Odin, and then we hear all about that. It's not a Marvel thing. Thor is very different in this series. Loki is relatively the same. If you are looking for some good people of colour or LBGT rep. There is a gender fluid character in the second book. This is the third book. So you're introduced to a gender fluid character in the second book. There is also deaf rep in this book, in this series as well, with a deaf elf, which is interesting. So this is the last book. Sorry, Jersey's defending me from the wind. So this is the last book in the trilogy I've got to close out. Then I have 2 books in the Wayward Children series by Shauna Maguire. So I have Beneath the Sugar Sky and In an Absent Dream. Beneath the Sugar Sky is the third published in the series. These are companion novels, but you do have to read the first 2. The first 2 together for those stories. And then, but you can go from Every Heart a Doorway to Beneath the Sugar Sky. This follows a daughter of one of the characters. Yeah, a daughter of one of the characters you meet in the first book. So definitely read Every Heart a Doorway, and then you could go into this one. And it's basically she comes tumbling out of the door. I should start with the Wayward Children series is a portal fantasy series of what happens when you come back. So when the Pevensies come back from Narnia, well, they do what happens when Alice tries to reintegrate into normal life after coming back from Wonderland. Some people adjust. Eleanor Westwood's Home for Wayward Children is where you go if you can't reintegrate yourself back into life. And then, so that follows that story. And then In an Absent Dream is Lundy's story, who is another character you meet in the first book. And I believe we go to a goblin market. Yes. She went to a high logic and reason with riddles and lies. She thinks she's found her paradise. Last, the goblin market is there by the time she draws to close. Makes a kind of bargain that will never play out well. So Lundy was in the first book. So basically read Every Heart a Doorway, and then you can jump around through the current published books. So yeah, I've got these 2. And then moving on to books in series that I don't own but I've started. I have the audiobook for Dark Dawn by J. Kristoff, which is the finale of the Nevernight Chronicles. So you follow Mia Corvair, who is avenging the murder of her father, the hanging of her father and the incarceration of her mother and brother. And she has some magical talents, and she has gone to a school to train as an assassin, which all happens in the first book. The second book is her after events that happen at the Red Church, which is the school that she goes to for her assassininess. I then want to finish the Beartown duology, which is a translated fiction by Frederick Bachman, which is Us Against You, which is a carry-on, so it's a duology of Beartown. In the first one, we sort of go through it's in a very small town that's isolated, and the whole small town revolves around ice hockey. It is a hard-hitting contemporary with trigger warnings for sexual assault and suicide. Basically, one of the hockey players, sexually assaults a girl in town. She comes forward, and then it's, well, some people don't believe her, some people do believe her, some people just want to bury their head in the sand. So then, after the events of Beartown, they then go on to Us Against You, so I will be jumping back into that. I also need to close out Stalking Jack the Ripper Quartet from Kerry Maniscalco, which is Capturing the Devil, which is set in Chicago. It's following a murderer. So Stalking Jack the Ripper is what it is. It's a young girl, her name is Audrey Rose, who's our main character, and her uncle is a coroner. They live in Whitechapel in the time of Jack the Ripper's murders, so she helps uncover and unmask Jack the Ripper. In the second book, which is Hunting Prince Dracula, her and her now love interest go to Romania to study at the elite forensic sciences school, and there is yet again another issue. They follow that through. It's all twists and turns. One, it's quite interesting because I'm not a huge historical fiction reader, and I've only recently got into sort of murder mystery thrillers, but these two I devoured, I loved. And then the third one is Escaping from Houdini, where you're on a ship and you meet Harry Houdini, so it's quite interesting. They've got big sort of historical or folklore tales, and it's twisted and turned. I think it's been done very well. So Capturing the Devil is the final one in that. So we'll finish that off, and then I have the last two in the Illuminate files, which is Gemina and Obsidio, which again is quite an interesting one. Is I don't read a lot of science fiction either, so I will be getting to Gemina next month, or this month. So yeah, this month in January. This video is going up, and Obsidio because I've requested them both from the library, so I'm hoping just to push it through. This also does tie in with my goals video, so I will link that somewhere while I figure out how to do the end card and stuff, because one of my goals was to try and close out at least half of this list. So if you would like me to close out one of your favorite series that you've seen here, please let me know. So through the media we create and we consume, we can impact the world in a positive manner, and I would like to thank you, and I look forward to all my reading. Thank you and goodbye!